Hello and welcome to another episode of Streaming Without a Paddle. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ted, and I am underwhelmed by this movie.
Just right out of the gate.
It's not bad. It's not good.
It's
just very
of the gate.
Very, 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 very just okay. But you know what?
Jumping right into it.
You know what?
I give it a 32. No. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening.
No. We're just chopping it up. We're getting up in there. You know what I would say about this movie before we even talk? I just watched it. Literally 10 minutes ago, I finished it.
Yeah, I know.
What I would say about this movie is, do you remember back in the day when cable was a thing and TBS would have like the same 6 movies?
Roadhouse.
Yeah, Roadhouse.
It was Roadhouse.
Sandlot, whatever they had. And
Yeah.
it was always on.
Right.
If this were one of those movies, I would watch it 27 times. Just in the background, just on.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. If we didn't have but like 4 cable options, yes, it does. But we're beyond that now.
We've got so many.
We are. All right. Ted and I were back in action after last week's show of Touch.
Yep, that was a good one.
And that's what we're watching. We watched this week was Netflix's original Back in Action, starring Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx.
You got those names.
I've had many years of practice on that. Kyle Chandler's in this, Glenn Close, Andrew Scott, and you'll know him as James Moriarty.
Yeah, he's in a lot of random things. He's good.
Sherlock. Yeah. And the children actors in this were Leah Owen and Rylan Jackson. I think I nailed all those.
You killed it.
4 hours worth of practice.
Andrew has slayed the name game.
It's practice. This is Cameron Diaz's first movie back in 10 years. She took a 10-year hiatus.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I mean, she picked up we're just exactly where she left off. Had to be a little nerve-wracking for her, though, coming on stage and hearing that first. And action.
I can't imagine.
I mean, it had to.
I remember doing it after the pandemic started the first time. It had been like 9 months since I had been on a movie or TV show, and I was like, had like 2 lines, and I was like, and then so I'm sure she was like, yeah.
Calling over the first AD.
Excuse me, line. All
right, you wanna tell the world what this is about?
Yeah, this is about 2 like former CIA. They're not CIA, but it's like similar to CIA.
Government
service. Well, secret government service.
Right.
People, and they're like basically a super spy kind of team that they get set together, but they fall in love and they get pregnant. And they have this key that can control, what did it control? All of technology?
Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that movie with Ethan Hawke? And it was produced by the Obamas, where the cruise ship comes aground because...
It's like that.
Yeah, it's like it takes control of anything electronic, so to speak.
So, and they try to get it, whatever, and then once they find out she's pregnant, they decided to pretend they're dead and not be in it anymore, and they moved to the suburbs that looked to me to be Peachtree City.
I think
like every movie I see in the last 20 years is Peachtree City.
Yeah.
And they start a family, and they have a 14-year-old and 15-year-old, and
she's 14.
Is she 14?
She's
14 and an 11-year-old. And one night she sneaks out. By the way, should have made her 17. No 14-year-olds going to a club, but she sneaks out and
she had a fake ID. Did you have one?
No,
I did.
Not when I was 14.
Oh no, I didn't have one.
When I was 17, yeah.
Yeah, but look where she lives. She lives in Atlanta.
She lives in Peachtree City.
I mean, it's for a very progressive state.
Yes. So anyway, they find out that she has gotten a fake ID and gone to the club, and they show up, and some fratty, dirtbaggy 22-year-olds are saying that their daughter's going to stay, and they proceed to wreck their shop and beat them all up, and it gets caught on tape, and then they get found out.
by their old boss.
Thought they were dead, and then there's a lot more spy things that happen.
There you go. And it's it's your typical. There's nothing. I mean, it's just your typical action hero kind of movie these days. I mean, it's so cookie cutter. It's not even funny. I mean, I mean, no offense. I mean, I know why she did it. I mean, apparently she's Cameron Diaz. She's got a 2-picture deal with Netflix in the neighborhood of $47 million for 2 pictures. This is picture number 1.
$47 million.
After a 2-year hiatus.
10-year.
10-year, I'm sorry.
She's 53 years old.
Something like that. So anyway, I mean, Lindsay Lohan's got to be pissed knowing that money.
I guess.
I'm cranking out these really great Hallmark movies for you, and you guys are paying me $200,000 a pop.
Hey, the last one was good. Again, I'm going to go back to this question I always have to you. Are there no people under 40 years old that they deem movie stars?
Well,
Like $47 million to Cameron Diaz, who's a 53-year-old who hasn't done a movie in 10 years, is insane.
but they're catering to the generation, the demographic that watches movie, and that's anybody from the age of 40 to 60, because the kids today really don't watch movies.
They just watch people playing video games on YouTube?
Yeah, Mr. Beast and, that kind of stuff. So, anyway, this movie was... how long was this movie? Long enough. It's so long they didn't even say. I forget. I don't
147 minutes.
Is it really?
No, it's 114 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It's directed by Seth Gordon, by the way. And then this guy is, oh my gosh, Horrible Bosses, 4 Christmases, Identity Theft, Baywatch.
Best thing he ever did was King of Kong.
The Lost City.
Have you seen the King of Kong?
No, I haven't.
Can we do a throwback episode?
We can, sure.
It's a documentary, and I think you will absolutely love it.
I mean, this guy is. I mean, he's in. I mean, he's it. I mean, he looks like he's got about a 3-year period between this one and his last one. But I mean, he knows how to block a shot.
Yeah,
and I say that I'm not saying that this was poorly directed by any means, because it was not. It was done well, action or directing wise.
But if you look at what he really directs well, like he's a documentary director that then got given these features that are these big, vast comedic or action features. They're just, for lack of a better, they're studio pictures. You know what I mean? Horrible Bosses.
Well, this is a studio picture.
Right. Horrible Bosses, 4 Christmases, Identity Theft, Baywatch. He's not.
Yeah, I mean,
they're not letting him do much. It's like, hey, can you just make sure everything's
He's
not going up to Cameron Diaz and being like, hey, Cameron, I think you should deliver the line with a little more of this.
This guy here, and up until I couldn't have told you who he was. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest with you. I mean, because he's never flashed on my radar for anything, so I've never paid attention, so to speak. But I mean, he's a smart guy. I mean, he's from Harvard. Went to school at Harvard, and I mean, he worked at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, producing their stuff, and on a board. Anyway, there you go.
Cool.
I'm just not excited about this show, Ted. This movie. This was, and here's the thing: we're coming off of Touch,
which was
a grown-up film, right? And then, and again, in a foreign film, when we are going 1 week with a film at the level and the quality of Touch to the stereotypical American-produced film, there's just nothing to get excited about. I mean, there's not.
I have no interest in this type of film.
You might as well put Kevin Hart and The Rock in this thing.
Doesn't matter who you put.
Doesn't
matter.
It's the same script.
And honestly, I kind of have to say this, and I don't know, hey, thank God Jamie Foxx is okay. Almost died during this. Well, however it was, P. Diddy touched him. I don't know what happened.
I'm not going there.
I heard P. Diddy gave him a drink. I don't know what happened. But I do know that Jamie Foxx is extremely talented.
Yeah.
And these movies that he does like this, and he does them often, are absolutely, if you hear me, Jamie Foxx, a utter waste of your time and talent.
Yeah.
You running around showing that you are a good athlete, doing fake fights is a waste of your talent.
And I hate to say it because, I'm going to get some backlash off of this, but Quentin Tarantino's Django,
Yeah.
he was great in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Why would you get backlash over that?
I mean, well,
Because it's
I
like
don't
a
know.
racially
Yeah,
charged
it
thing?
is. It is a,
Yeah, but
I mean, he did it.
he's
So,
great.
I mean, it just, anyway, I agree with you, Chad. He's a really good actor.
It's supposed to be Will Smith in that role.
But the slap heard around the world. No,
Well,
that
that was way
pre-
before
that. Yeah,
I auditioned for Django.
I wonder what you would have played.
My same thing every time.
No, it just, but here, Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx have really good on-camera chemistry. I can't speak to
Yeah.
the off-camera chemistry.
I don't think they liked each other.
I don't know.
No, I don't think they did. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure.
I don't know, but I will say this: they come across as very believable as a couple. Yeah, I want to go back though, and I'm going to touch on something here. There was a pun, but now I lost my train of thought on that.
Talking about P. Diddy?
I'm gonna no, I'm not going to go. I'm not touching P. Diddy. But all right,
He's
there we
touching
go.
anybody else.
All right. Anyway, now let's just. I'm going to get. I'll go back to that while I try to regain my thought process on it. But this is a reported budget of about $70 million. I'm going to take it that doesn't include Diaz's salary because she's over an overall deal. So. And like you called it, it's a studio picture. We pay you, you show up on the soundstage we tell you to go to. And this just happened to be it, right? But I think it's really sad that we look at a movie like this. Netflix is reporting that this is one of the most popular movies ever released on Netflix, with having 47 million views in the first 3 days.
I just read a headline because I was looking up to see if Jamie Foxx and her, they had like a fighting thing. I thought I read that. Maybe they didn't. And it said, back in action is a new creative low for Netflix in Hollywood. Accurate. Nothing about this is special. Nothing about this is interesting. Nothing about this is... I'm just sorry. It's like, whatever.
Here, let me tell you why 47 million people viewed this in the first 3 days. First, everybody and their mother knows this is the movie where Jamie Foxx almost died.
Yep.
So they want to see what it's about. And two, it's Cameron Diaz's return to the screen after a 10-year hiatus. That's what sold it. I couldn't tell you what this movie was about before I threw it at you and said, hey, that's Cameron Diaz's first movie in 10 years is dropping on Netflix on the 17th, and let's watch it.
They also didn't advertise it till literally like the week of.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that. That's the thing with these Netflix crap. Like, you have a huge built-in audience. You can put a movie up a day before it plays, and there's 20 million views right there.
Well, here's the thing too with Netflix. You got to hand it to one of the Paul brothers, Jake Paul, or what's the other Paul? Paul, the boxer, and
Jake and Logan.
Logan, yeah, Logan's the wrestler. Jake is the boxer, and Netflix had that, which was an utter catastrophe.
Are you talking about that
fight?
That wasn't a fight.
No, it was.
You can literally see Mike Tyson not swinging.
Yeah,
on him.
it is. I mean,
they're like, "Oh, Mike's legs are old." It's like, no, Mike is taking a dive.
he was.
He's not swinging.
Well, and they had such difficulty with the streaming, but
every 10 seconds.
It was horrible. It was horrible. But here's the thing: is they picked up 19 million more viewers And I'm sure a lot of it has to do with that fight. So they got their money's worth out of that, because you just figure if everybody got the base package, $8 a month,
I almost
19 million times 8.
Unless you pick something for Netflix or Cobra Kai, I never watch Netflix.
Well, here's the thing: is they're sitting here today boasting about this morning. I got some stocks, so I tune into my little morning stock page and
Your day trader page.
and no, I'm not even that. I just got I got stuff stuck in a stock or two, and I want to see how it's doing because the market's so up and down. But anyway, Netflix is reporting all these huge numbers this morning about growth: 19 million new subscribers in the last quarter, and then that was this morning, and then this afternoon they're announcing they're raising the rates.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, they're raising the rate. They've picked up 19 million more subscribers, which means they've increased their revenue 19 million times 8. And their overall expense has not grown. Right? I mean, because whether they've got one viewer or 10 subscribers, the content costs the same no matter what it is that's out there. Go ahead.
Say it with me. Corporate greed.
But then they turn around and look at this. We not only are we having a windfall with 19 million new subscribers, let's go ahead and jack up their rates a buck or two. I mean, let's just turn that 19 into, I don't know, an extra 25, 30 million, that in addition to the gazillions they're making. Anyway.
Yeah, then they can make one more terrible movie.
Yeah,
they can make one more terrible big budget movie.
Well,
the only movie that they've made that's a Netflix original that has been good, some of the Sandler movies are pretty fun. Murder, mystery, whatever. Those are fun. We both like those.
Okay.
The only big one that I've seen that they did that I was like, oh, that was a good movie, was that Gray Man with Ryan Gosling.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was a good movie.
But that was a $175 million movie.
Yeah, and didn't they do Project Adam too?
Terrible.
You didn't like that?
It was whatever.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
All their movies are it's like AI writes all of them.
All right, Ted. Let's just throw out your numbers here. Let's just wrap this bad boy up because there is nothing to talk about this movie. All right, this is what I wanted to say about this movie. Okay, the script. They could have saved money by not having the two kid actors in it at all, because they could have rewritten the script where the two agents decide to go off grid, pretend they're dead. And then 15 years later, they do something. Oh, isn't that what Mark Wahlberg?
That's the Mark Wahlberg movie.
Because this is exactly what they have. This is their version of that Mark Wahlberg movie. But they do something that gets the attention of somebody. And maybe it's a good thing. Maybe they're in a grocery store and there's a robbery going on. And they foil the robbery, and somebody in this world that walks around with their phone sticking up, videotaping everything, they cover it and they put it on the internet, right? And then that's how they get discovered and they start running around. So the point about the kids being in it was just stupid.
Or Glenn Close, who is Cameron Diaz's mother in this, who's a former MI6 operative,
right,
gets kidnapped, and then they have to go rescue her.
Or Glenn Close's boyfriend or husband.
That's funnier.
Who's the MI6 trainee, quote unquote.
Yeah, that's funnier.
Right? He's actually working for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And he's not, he's playing a dumb character and, a bumbling fool wanting to be in the MI6, and using Glenn Close. And then he finds out that, they're still alive and, it all breaks loose. Right?
Glenn Close is my favorite part of this movie.
She did a good job. Nobody did a bad job acting in it. Even the kids were good.
Kids were good.
It was just that the direction was great.
Cameron Diaz
the story
was good.
sucked.
The story was stupid.
It was.
Kyle Chandler was good. Everybody in this movie was good. It was directed well. Again, I'm going to go back to it. When the script isn't, like, nothing's original about it, I say people don't care, but I think most people are like, you ever talk to just normal people and they're like, hey, you seen that new movie on Netflix, blah, 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 and you're like, oh, yeah. They're like, man, that's tight. You're like, what? People that like Fast and Furious movies like this movie.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just dumb entertainment.
And that's what I'm getting at. We came off of Touch, which is, I don't want to say it was a cerebral type movie by any means, but it had substance, it had thought, it had emotion, it was compelling.
Yes.
It
might end up being one of the best movies I've seen.
I mean, and I'm going to go back to Touch too. And you know why Touch only cost reported $750,000?
Why?
It's because they shot it with a foreign crew that didn't want a lot of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Do you have a lot of interest? I get it.
So,
like, do you have a lot of interest in working with? I don't know. Anymore, the older I get, I don't really have a huge interest in being like in these movies where the crew doesn't care about anything and they're just there getting a paycheck, which is clearly this movie. Like, you know what I mean? We've got 15 grips, we got 7 people in the sound department, and it's like, and my going rate is $1,500 a day, and it's like, nobody cares. Nobody's ever gonna think this is no one's favorite movie. Nothing is special. You did shit.
Yeah,
I'd rather paint houses. Sorry.
It just, I meant to bring that up last week when we talked about Touch, but I didn't know how to go into it. But I'll just say it. The reason that movie cost so little to make was because the crew, the above the line and the below the line on this was a fraction. I guarantee you, a fraction what a U.S. crew would have cost.
I can tell you right now from having everybody on this, I mean, because there's so much work in Atlanta, they were all just like, hey, everybody's top of rate. Yeah. Every single person. Yeah. Nobody's working on this movie because they want to work with Jamie Foxx.
We touched on that too. We were talking about, with Touch, why it's so expensive or difficult to work in Tokyo in that particular case. Because the cities just don't, they price you out of it. How bad do you want it? Okay. All right. Well, it's going to cost you. And that's exactly how, and I just, I'll say it, that's how crews are.
Yes.
That's how crews are. They look at it, well, who's starring? I mean, here's hey, I need a key or whatever, blah, 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 on this. You available? Yeah, well, who's in it?
See, I don't even think they look at that anymore.
I think they do. I think who's in it, because then they know there's money behind it.
Well, I think they just say, this is my rate.
You think so?
Oh, for sure. Like, in my experience in Nashville, and given I have a lot of friends at crew and shoot stuff and whatever, here they're more apt to do narrative work because for like a little bit cheaper rate, because most of their big paying gigs are industrials, music videos, and Hallmark movies.
I don't even give them a chance. The last project I produced and was the showrunner on, I picked up the phone and I called the crew members that I needed, and I said, hey, it's so-and-so. I'm crewing up a 13-episode series. I've got X amount of dollars for your position per day, and it's a 5-day week based on a 10-hour day it was.
Yeah. And
there was no negotiation. I was like, okay,
take it or leave it.
Yeah, that's how it was. Anyway, we digress. We're talking way too much about this, and it doesn't deserve our breath. All right, Ted, what's your number on this?
6.
That's well below the 50.
No.
60. 60. 6.0.
6D.
Yeah, I'm
well done, well directed, like for what it is. It's just like I can't even really remember most of the movie, and I just watched it.
Yeah, it's a 6.5 for me. I mean, it's not a bad movie. There's just nothing to it that excites me about it.
It's like an episode of Bonanza. Remember that back in the day when you were young, and like now they play reruns of Friends, but when we were younger, they played reruns of Bonanza and Three's Company and MASH. It's like an episode of Bonanza. You see it, everything happens, and then you immediately don't remember that it happened, and 3 weeks later you watch another one, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
there's Cletus and Festus.
Yeah. It was.
I'm glad you didn't die, Jamie Foxx. Please go back and do more movies like the one you did with Robert Downey Jr., The Soloist. You were great in that.
Yeah.
Horrible Bosses. He's killer in Horrible Bosses.
Or Ray.
Ray.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm just,
I mean, he just did a stand-up special. I need to watch it. I'm not a huge stand-up guy, but I need to watch. And Cameron Diaz, welcome back. Do a rom-com. I want to see that.
Welcome back. I mean, I know if all reports are that you're coming back 10 years later and you're I don't want to say demanding, but you're getting $23 million, 23 and a half a pop now.
That's a rate.
On that happy note, I say we put this show in the crib and say goodnight, goodbye. Till next week.
Yeah, we're going to pick a banger for next week. Well, I've got one off the air to talk to you about.
Okay, well, we had to do this. It was Diaz's first one back in 10 years. It was Jamie Foxx's, a potential swan song. I mean...
I have to tell you something that I watched in 3 days, and I don't think I told you about it last time, and then we might review it. I don't know. Landman on Paramount. Did I tell you about that?
I mean, I'm done.
Dude, we should talk about that next week.
Okay.
I loved it.
We might talk Landman next week. A little bit, at least. All right. Thanks for listening to Streaming Without a Paddle. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Ted.